joining me to talk about all things baseball, including that remarkable night in Anaheim on Friday night. It's one of our favorite people from the world of baseball. MLB Network featuring the Dodgers and Phillies tomorrow and the Rays at Yankees on Thursday night. MLB Network is the exclusive television home for the Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremony this Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, live from Cooperstown. The great Al Leiter back on the program. How you doing, Al?
Hello, Rich. I'm doing well.
It's been too long since I have heard your voice. Before we get into all the stuff from the Hall of Fame and everything going on from the second half of the season, I just want to give you the floor on what we saw in Anaheim in Southern California Friday night, where Tyler Skaggs, on the eve of what would have been his 28th birthday, everybody wearing his 45. His mom throws a remarkable pitch for a first strike ceremonially, a softball coach here in Southern California. And they score 7 in the first and throw a combined no-hitter. Al, I'm wondering where that ranks in stuff that you have personally witnessed as a player or a broadcaster.
Wow. So seriously emotional, to say the least. The after the fact of all the numbers and the coincidental or not, or some bigger power that we can't explain of how it actually played out is beyond the belief that something wasn't else in the building. You know, I got to. I mean, you asked Rich. Was there anything similar motion? I was doing some games for the Marlins a few years ago, and I just so happened through the Yes Network, and Fox bought the Yes Network, et cetera. And I was doing very few games, and it turned out it was the end of the year. The Mets came in Miami, and I had the Mets series, and the Jose Fernandez boat accident. I was there. They canceled the game, and I'm doing the game the next night. And to think of that moment, not to take away from Tyler Skaggs and what happened on Friday with the Angels, because it was amazing, but D. Gordon, who hadn't had a home run in like 2 years, leads off the game, uses his bat, uses his helmet, and hits a home run. And crying around the bases, I'm doing the game with Rich Waltz. Like, it's one of those, you can't say a word to even remotely describe what the heck just happened. And here D. Gordon is playing the Mariners for the game on Saturday against the Angels. He's in the house. All of the great tribute to honor Tyler Skaggs and the uniform number and all of. Then after you find out about his birthday and the last time it was no hitter and the combination and what Trout he hit the ball 450 some feet.
He's
and
amazing.
There's your 45, et cetera, et cetera. The mom nails a strike, as you say. Like, wait a minute. Like, how does this happen? I don't know, Rich. Not to get into religion or bigger power or being, but I believe somebody's watching.
Yeah, I fully agree, and I'm the one who brought it up about other situations you might have seen. It's interesting. Giancarlo Stanton, upon the passing of Skaggs, Instagrammed out a message to the Angels about how best to deal with the loss of a teammate like this, that you're going to walk through his locker and see his empty locker. You're going to when you walk through the locker room, and how difficult that is. And he brought, because he lived through the experience of losing a teammate of Fernandez in particular with the Marlins. I mean, you really can't put anything. It's amazing how this works out in baseball, Al. Obviously, It is amazing. What a night that was.
And the pace of it too, Rich, as you know, and I know you cover football and all the other respective sports. But the fact that there isn't a clock, you can take as much time as you want, and really, in this case, honor the memorial of Tyler Skaggs or whomever else. I know you grew up a Yankee fan. I can visualize to this day when Lou Piniella was crying and Reggie Jackson in the outfield,
Munson,
and Bobby Mercer has an amazing day with Thurman Munson. I couldn't imagine in season something as tragic as what we're talking about, and how to try to get through the rest of the year. I remember as a little guy, I remember watching that and seeing the Munson's uniform, placed behind home plate. I mean, the kind of, the hair, raised on the back of your neck kind of stuff.
It is amazing. Al Leiter, MLB Network here on the Rich Eisen Show. How great is Trout, man? How great is this guy?
Oh, my God.
He's one of the greatest of all time. And I know it's difficult to say stuff like that, but I didn't stutter. He's one of the greatest I've ever seen, Al.
Yes.
Right?
And what's beautiful about this is, in my opinion, he plays the game. I won't say right because I don't want to open up like old school, new school, and all this other garbage that people might insinuate.
Right.
But he plays the game hard. How about that? He plays the game with great effort all the time, and he is exceptional on both sides of the ball. He plays hard every single time he gets out there. I did a game a couple years ago at the S Network, and Michael Kay and the Angels came in at Yankee Stadium, and it was the third out of the inning. Fly ball to right field. Aaron Judge is catching it, and I didn't bother to watch Aaron Judge or the fly ball or where it was going a little bit to the right of Aaron Judge. I watched Mike Trout, and he busted out of the box. It's a fly ball, Rich. It's not a line drive. He busted out of the box, and I'm watching him all the way, and by the time Aaron Judge caught the ball, Mike Trout was almost at second base. I'm not kidding you. I go on the box. I went back to John Moore, and I said, hey, when we come out of this, can we just show that? Like, I can't celebrate that enough because that's what I appreciate, and I think most fans appreciate.
Al Leiter here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, let's turn to the second half of the season here. I mean, we've got a race in the NL Central. The A's and the Indians are trying to make races out of the AL West and AL Central. How do you see the rest of this second half of the season going, Al Leiter?
I find this intriguing greatly with respect to we have about 2.5 weeks for the trade deadline. It's a hard deadline now because, the waiver trade deadline for, not having non-waiver. I'm looking at the teams, Rich, and I count up of what I would consider sell 10 of the 30 teams. That is outstanding for Major League Baseball. You look down the wild card. If you're, north of San Francisco, Pittsburgh, I think, is teetering right there at 3.5. San Diego's 3 back. Colorado, 1.5. Arizona, 1.5. St. Louis and Milwaukee pushing on Washington and Philadelphia. That is great. If you're in any one of those fan bases, you have to be saying, hey, we're buyers. We're not selling. The second wild card has been fantastic. I do believe that. I think you mentioned the A's is a tremendous story. You look at both of the wild card teams here. They're not the $200 million payroll teams. No. Contrary. The A's and what Billy Beane does in Tampa Bay year in and year out, they know who to pick up. They have a great algorithm with respect to their analytics and great scouts to bring in undervalued players, and here they are once again, playoff discussion or possibly playoffs. Indians, I think, was really intriguing, and now they've become a buy team, along with the Red Sox. Of course, they're going to stay in. I think Texas, what John Daniels have done. So overall, I'm excited. Forget about, even, after, down the stretch in September, which of these teams actually believe that a player here or there is going to make the difference for them to be in the postseason? And you know this, and I know it. You get in the postseason, you have 2 hot pitchers and a couple arms out of the bullpen. Yeah, you can get pretty deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, you can. And by the way, for the NL wild card right now, with all due respect to everybody else, I'd kind of freeze it right now, which is Bryce Harper and Philly walking into Washington to try and play a one-gamer. That would be what we talk about a crucible if something like that happens.
You're right.
But you also have, within 4 games, let's say within 5 games, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, San Diego. I mean, wow, you want to talk about coming in from the cold. Colorado, Arizona, St. Louis, and Milwaukee. It really is lit. The question I have for you, Al, is which team out of everybody has to get that big arm pitcher? I mean, the Red Sox went ahead and took Cashner off the board from Baltimore over the weekend. They struck early. Which team do you think needs to get that big arm to win the World Series right now?
That's a good question, and I think the needs part would have varying degrees.
Yep.
If you're telling me of the available starters, let's go with Stroman or a Zach Wheeler or a Bumgarner or a Matt Boyd from Detroit, any one of those guys, barring that they're not pitching like a 4 or 5, would be a welcome sight on any of the teams,
right,
including the New York Yankees, including the Houston Astros. Astros are intriguing to me because of, what Brad Peacock has gone down. And Wade Miley is emerging most recently. We know it's Verlander or Garrett Cole, but they're in need. And here, they're first place by 6 games over Oakland. they could use a starter. The Yankees, I'm 100% convinced that they're going to go out and get somebody to really, just make them even that much harder to beat. I do believe that the Yankees go on to the World Series. The way it is right now, the Yankees, I think we're going to go back to 1981 and 78, Rich, and see a Yankee-Dodgers World Series. A lot, of course, can happen, but the Dodgers, to me, are just too good and too deep, and the Yankees are just only going to get better.
Can I get the 78 version, not the 81 version? Can I get that?
All right, 78. We're doing it.
Yeah, don't mention 81.
Ron Guidry, was that his 25-win season?
Oh, my gosh. Louisiana Lightning was one of the best I have ever seen, period, end of story. What was he, 180 pounds soaking wet, too, Al?
I think it was 174.
Well, speaking of throwers here, your son, Jack Leiter, committed to Vanderbilt, which is, again, a dirty word in my household right now with College World Series, but that's okay.
Why is that? You're Michigan?
Yeah, that's right, Al. That's okay. It's all right. It only happens for Michigan once every 35 years. Whatever. It's okay. But so your son was drafted by the Yankees. Was there any chance of him saying yes to that at all, Al?
No, but I appreciated what
they took a flyer, huh? They took a flyer.
Huh?
They took a flyer on Jack Leiter just in case he might just come out and want to play for the Yankees.
Yeah, listen, it was very nice. I got drafted out of high school. I did sign with the Yankees. There was probably 9 or 10 teams that, from what my understanding was, they were going to draft him out of being part of his high school, life, if you will. Damon Oppenheimer, who's the scouting director for the Yankees, who I really like and is a gentleman in his class. I picked him in the 20th pick. Listen, I value. This is what it came down to, Rich. As a father, I was able to separate money. It was a life decision for my son, and I can tell you, he was all in. He wanted to go to college.
I love it.
He wants the experience in every facet of what the college life is all about, and he's a smart kid. So I know there's risk, but this is what my wife and I wanted, and ultimately, with Jack making the decision, this is what he wanted.
Well, I know you cut back from your work, and I do miss you calling games on Yes to spend more time on this front. What's that been like for you, Al?
So I didn't miss a game, and it's been fantastic. The 12 years I spent, the day I retired with the Yankees, John Filippelli asked me to do games. I thought he was talking about the following season, and less than 2 weeks I was doing a game with Michael Kay and Jim Cott, and there I went with the Yes Network. But it was even though it was limited games, Rich, it just, when you do a game and you're scheduled to do games, it's different than what I do at MLB Network because we have such a variety of shows and I can do an early show, et cetera.
Right.
And I didn't want to miss his senior year. So luckily, and I'm grateful to so many levels that I didn't miss any games. I was able to watch all of it. And Rich, it was much better than any World Series performance that I did or any kind of stuff that I actually was able to do in the game to watch my kid and all of the, exciting attention that was around his starts. And, yeah, you can't take this stuff back.
Nope.
You're a parent. Like, that matters. And if you're able to do it, and I'm grateful for it, I didn't want to miss it.
Well, I mean, that kind of brings our conversation full circle, Al. I mean, life's short, and you got to focus on what's important in life. And being there for your kid, if you can, and you're lucky enough to be able to pull it off, go for it. And I'm thrilled for you. You know how I feel.
Thank you.
You know
Thank
how I
you,
feel.
Rich.
And have you spoken to Kay lately, or communicated with him? Because I know he's not talking right now because of his. He's
not talking. I told him to go stay in the hospital extra days. He said he's only going to be there one day, and then I said to go on vacation and get away. And he needs to. Yeah. If I were him, I'd have gone to an island or a cabin and stay away from everybody.
Did he go to the Bronx? What do you do, knowing him?
I told him to come down to the Jersey Shore. He could stay at my place.
Well, Al, great chatting with you. Love your work, and let's chat again real soon.
Yes, thank you, Rich. Same to you.
You bet. That's Al Leiter, Al Leiter 22 on Twitter.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.